Thomas, when you think about it, there was a period, wasn't it, when if you entered like public life, public office, you were worried about scrutiny. I don't mean worried in a bad way, but of course you might not want adverse publicity or indeed the delving into your private life, particularly if, for instance, you were married, maybe one partner doesn't want exactly the sort of life that you had. And it's always fascinating when you look at, say, couples who make it big, whether it be the Obamas. Clearly, there's two egos in that marriage, and we know which is the bigger one, some people might say. But what's also fascinating is the fact that now when you're in public life, seemingly you tell outright lies and absolutely nobody bothers, because we now live in a world where the truth is not really necessarily that important. It is, but not to these individuals. As ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a thing though, isn't it? Sorry, we'll have a nice wave. It's the thing, isn't it? When I was at school, and I'm sure that was the same for you, truth was everything. You tried to be honest about things you were doing, whether that be, your homework, whether it be an interest or something like that. And if you were lucky enough, say, to become a local councillor or a mayor of a town, it was seen as a big achievement, Now, over here in the United Kingdom, as you know, we have an invasion going on a daily basis of migrants. And basically the other day, our current Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, told us that, well, she was going to be ending the use of migrant hotels by the end of the Parliament term. That's a long way away, right? And it's an interesting thing to push it that far back. What she didn't tell the truth about was the fact that actually the government are now buying up master hotels in order to house these migrants. So they're not in hotels, the hotels owned now by the government. Rachel, of course, is a known liar. She lied on her CV and has yet to correct it or indeed explain in great clarity exactly what's gone on. Then we have the business secretary, that's right, Jonathan Reynolds, who claimed on more than one occasion in the Houses of Parliament that in fact he was a trained solicitor. Then he had to apologise because he'd misguided or mistruth, lied in the real world. And then we have the current British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Sir Keir Starmer. Now, it's hard to tell exactly, and I would suggest this, that if he was my lawyer, I would be very concerned about him representing me, because clearly he doesn't have the grip of what the truth is. Now, you might say that's a little unkind, but there are so many situations in which Keir Starmer has been more than economical with the truth. Starting with the fact that, he wasn't going to axe the winter fuel allowance. The moment he's in power, he did. Everything he's done, he's literally turned upon. This isn't not being impartial. These are facts. The worst thing happened the other night over here on the BBC's premier political question panel game, which is, of course, Question Time. Now, this particular gentleman, Darren P. Jones, yes, a prominent person inside the government currently, pointed out live on air that the influx of migrants, the invaders, the illegals, are in fact 70% of, they're just women and babies. Yeah, no. Absolute, what is it, 70% of fully adult grown men. The BBC have still to rectify this outright lie, and he himself on social media has done nothing to rectify it either. Now, the theory is, of course, and this is the problem that you have when you have people like this in power, is if it starts at the top, and clearly this could have easily been resolved very quickly by the government, but they simply don't care. They know that the mass of the general public think they are terminal liars, so why bother correcting a lie? And as I said at the start of the video, if Rachel Reeves had been pulled up for her catastrophic and outright lie over her career status, well, there wouldn't have been a problem, would they? But the bottom line is, Keir Starmer can't pull her up when he's telling too many lies himself. Whichever way you look at it, this is not a government of change. It clearly is a government of lies. And as many people are now very concerned, including the other parties, like the Lib Dems, Reform, and of course the Conservatives, they have 3.5 years more of this, unless something truly happens. Frightening thought, right? Neil Sean in the very heart of Yorkshire.